As usual, you're joined by Ashwin Berry and Aina Raizakweyo.
Happy Tuesday, everyone. We are very grateful to you for joining us this morning. Today is Monkey Day. Monkeys are interesting creatures, cute, mischievous, and sometimes downright obnoxious. Anyone who disagrees has obviously never had their laundry torn down by a family of primates when it's hanging to dry. Many species of primates are also endangered, and there are questions of animal rights and the usage of primates in medical research. That's why there is Monkey Day, a day that's been dedicated to raising awareness about non-human primates. And here is more on Monkey Day. Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Today is the 14th of December 2021, and here are the news making headlines. In Ethiopia, Tigrayan forces recapture Lalibela. Rebels Tigrayan forces have recaptured the Ethiopian town of Lalibela, Reuters reports from Addis Ababa. The news agency is quoting witness as saying that the Amhara forces, who are allies of the Ethiopian government, began leaving Lalibela on Saturday night. The Tigrayan forces recaptured Lalibela without firing guns in the town, the witness said by the phone. This comes less than 2 weeks after the military and its allies took control of the town as part of the broader offensive that pushed back Tigrayan forces on multiple fronts. Lalibela is a town in the Amhara region bordering the northern region of Tigray that is famed for its churches hewn from rocks. Government spokesperson Lagis Tulu and the military spokesperson did not respond to requests by Reuters for comments on the reported recapture of the town by forces loyal to the Tigray People's Liberation Front.
Now in Kenya, Raila campaign officially kicks off with Azimio. It had been the worst kept secret in Kenya, the one about Raila Odinga being in the presidential race next year. All the preceding talk that he was mulling over the matter but had not made any decision prior to the December 10 announcement was calculated strategic suspense. Finally, it is official. Raila is a presidential candidate for 2022. Friday also marked the formal launch of what he called the Azimio La Umoja movement, with a 10-point program that will form the gist of his campaign manifesto. The man knows how to make a splash, starting with the triumphal motorcade across Nairobi from his current residence in Kasarani Stadium. Friday's event was the culmination of what started with the famous handshake in March 2018. That was a political truce and the closure of an historic post-independence feud that cut into two prominent families and spilled over to their two major communities. In no small measure, this has shaped the politics of Kenya ever since. The mending of fences marked a new beginning where Raila became part of President Uhuru Kenyatta's circle, a trusted confidante, and his apparent choice of successor.
SACCO minister petition World Trade Organizations. SACCO ministers responsible for finance as well as trade and industry are concerned about travel bans and restrictions lockdowns imposed by European countries against travelers in the region. This followed the detection of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. Eswatini is a member of the Southern African Customs Union alongside Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, and South Africa. After a virtual meeting held this past Thursday, the minister later released a statement to say the decision to impose travel bans on the region was unfair, irrational, and unscientific. The travel ban will impact negatively on the economies of the region, undermine the recovery efforts, and further increase poverty and hunger among our people. The ban is particularly crushing a blow to our tourism industry and for the many lives and livelihoods that depends on it, read the statement. SACU is also calling upon the World Trade Organization to expedite the decision on the TRIPS waiver that enables its member state to produce vaccine, therapeutics, and diagnostics to mitigate the effects of the pandemic and support discovery of the new variant.
South African Deputy President warns on Mozambique insurgency spilling over. South African Deputy President David Mabuza maintains the possibility of the ongoing insurgency in Mozambique spilling into neighboring states cannot be ignored. The South African number 2 was answering oral questions in the National Assembly this week ahead of Parliament rising for the year-end recess. He told ANC Limpopo parliamentarian Albert Siagi forced migration represented a larger risk and bigger economic challenge to the Southern African development community, far outweighing fear of reprisal from insurgents. Against this backdrop, the South African government took a decision to support Mozambique to contain and subdue insurgents and further provide capacity in terms of training, military intelligence, reconnaissance, and equipment. SAMIM's mandate is to assist the East African country in combating acts of violent extremism by neutralizing the threat such extremism poses. The end result, he said, is to restore peace and security and create an environment conducive to investment for economic growth in Mozambique. South Africa authorized up to 1,495 troops for deployment to Mozambique, with less than 300 special forces believed deployed since July.
Africa seeks solutions at first public health conference. Africa will hold its inaugural international conference on public health from the 14th to the 16th of December 2021. The CPHIA, hosted by the African Center for Diseases Control and Prevention, will create a unique platform where African researchers, policymakers, and stakeholders can share perspectives and research findings in public health. Africa CDC is a specialized technical institution of the African Union established to support public health initiatives of member states and strengthen the capacity of the public health institutions to detect, prevent, control, and respond quickly and effectively to disease threats. Public health refers to the health of the population as a whole, especially as subject of government regulations and support, while CDC Foundation defines it as a science of protecting and improving the health of people and their communities. The three-day conference has 7 sessions that include one-on-one epidemiology of SARS-CoV-2 virology, prevention and clinical management, vaccination in Africa, research capacity, advocacy, manufacturing and distribution, COVID-19 and equitable health system strengthening in Africa, and the case for a new public health order in Africa.
In our next story, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa tests positive for COVID-19. The South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has tested positive for COVID-19 on Sunday after attending the F.W. de Klerk Memorial Service in Cape Town. This was confirmed by Minister in the Presidency, Mondli Gungubele, through a statement. President Cyril Ramaphosa is receiving treatment for mild COVID-19 symptoms after testing positive for the viral infection today on Sunday. The president, who is fully vaccinated, is in self-isolation in Cape Town and has delegated all responsibilities to Deputy President David Mabuza for the next week. The president and the delegation returned to South Africa from the Republic of Senegal on Wednesday, 8 December 2021, after obtaining negative test results. The president also tested negative on his return to Johannesburg on 8 December. The presidency also stressed that today's proceedings in Cape Town were undertaken in compliance with health regulations pertaining to hand hygiene, the wearing of face masks, and social distancing. President Ramaphosa says his infection serves as a caution to all people in the country to be vaccinated and remain vigilant against exposure.
SIC collaborates in the capture of a Portuguese fugitive from justice. The Criminal Investigation Service of Angola collaborated with the Judiciary Police of Portugal and South Africa in locating and other police investigation for the capture of Portuguese businessman João Rediero, a fugitive from justice after being tried and convicted to prison for various crimes. According to the National Director of the PG in Portugal, Luis Neves, businessman João Rediero was located in South Africa, where he fled on 18 September from the United Kingdom after refusing to fulfill the prison sentence handed down in court. The Portuguese authorities, during a communication made Friday in Lisbon regarding the arrest that took place this Saturday morning in Johannesburg, South Africa, recognized the role that Angola played in the bridge with South Africa. According to Luis Neves, the role of SIC Angola shows the value of judicial cooperation between countries.
4 rushed to QECH as a Leopard Match Limited inferno escalates. At least 4 people have been rushed to the Queen Elizabeth Central Hospital in Blantyre after sustaining injuries following the fire that has gutted Leopard Match Limited and Asian Products Limited. The fire that started from Leopard Match Warehouse has now spread to the neighboring company Engineering Foundry, which houses Asian Products Limited. One person from the Industrial Steel Engineering Limited is in critical condition after the explosion from Leopard Match landed on him. What caused the fire still remains unknown.
Illegal fishing in Namibia reached frightening levels. The Deputy Governor of Namibia for Political Sector, Carla Tavares, expressed the concern of the constant waves of violations of the maritime coast into illegal fishing, especially trawling, which is a major concern from an environmental and economic point of view. The officials revealed that the province faces enormous difficulties with regards to maritime inspection due to the lack of adequate means, but she assured the government of the province of Namibia continues to talk with partners of the responsible ministry so that the problem is solved. He admitted the lack of qualified technicians to man the inspection vessels, adding that the province has in its portfolio a project that aims to promote training starting precisely in the fishery sector. A significant increase in the levels of informal fishing is seen as another concern.
South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma releases book to set record straight. South Africa's former president Jacob Zuma, accused of orchestrating the systematic plunder of government coffers during his rule, launched a news book on Sunday in which he intends to set the record straight. Titled Jacob Zuma Speaks, the book comes after the 79-year-old was released from prison in September due to ill health, just 2 months into a 15-month sentence for continually refusing to appear before a corruption inquiry into his 2009 to 2008. Said the book can be bought for 300 rands or 1,000 rands for a signed copy at car boot sales in Johannesburg on Sunday. His initial imprisonment in July sparked an unprecedented wave of violence in which more than 350 people died in his home province of KwaZulu-Natal and financial hub Johannesburg. Critics accused the president of using ill health as an excuse to further delay a drawn-out corruption trial relating to a 1999 purchase of arms from 5 European firms. Deputy President president at the time. Zuma is accused of pocketing bribes from French defense giant Thales and faces 16 charges of fraud, graft, and racketeering. Jacob Zuma Speaks, written in the third person, contains testimonies from former allies who have since fallen silent, spokesman Manyi said. All right, that brings us to the end of our top stories. After the break, we'll be talking about human-wildlife conflict. This is still Africa Good Morning. Stick around.
Win instant cash this spring with Top Score Instant. To enter, buy any new pack of Top Score Instant 1 kg or 500 grams from any store countrywide and stand a chance to win one of 2 grand prizes of $20,000 Namibian or one of 12 weekly prizes of $5,000 Namibian. SMS Instant to 24442. Competition ends 30 November 2021. T's and C's apply. Top Score Instant, a proud product of Namib Mills.
Human-wildlife conflict is growing all over Africa. In Namibia, Elephant-Human Relations Aid is protecting Africa's last remaining desert elephants and helping local communities living alongside them. A group of volunteers in the UK this weekend braced the cold of the rugged moors near Devon in southwest England to raise funds for EHRA. We spoke to them. Have a look.
Hello, and thank you very much for joining us. If the three of you could introduce yourselves, please.
Hi, I'm Helen. I live in Germany, but I come from England. And yeah, over here to do a charity walk for ERA.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Rhiannon. So I just live in Somerset, which is the next county, so not too far to come for me. And well, I met Ian first time I volunteered for ERA in Namibia. How many years ago now, Ian? What? 5 years ago. And then Helen and I have been friends for a while, but we actually both volunteered for ERA together as well. So yeah, really happy to be here raising funds for them at the moment because they've got no volunteers able to go, obviously because of COVID.
Precisely.
And I'm Ian. I live in Oxfordshire, which is a little bit further away from here, near Oxford. Yeah, and we've all met each other through ERA somehow or other.
Right. So it's all about ERA. Before we get to that bit of your interest, please tell us about the project that you are currently busy with.
So we are basically walking for 3 days over Dartmoor, which is a sort of wild area of the UK. And yeah, the whole point is to emulate when some...
It was all the Namibian team,
staff,
the
yeah.
staff.
Yeah, the Namibian team walked the Bramberg. So kind of trying to emulate that in a way that we can, bearing in mind it's the depths of winter in the UK.
Right. And what is the distance that you are covering?
We're averaging sort of 10 to 12 miles, miles a day. But the terrain is very steep. So even though it's maybe not the most mileage, it's actually quite challenging because they're moors. So it's very sort of barren and up and down and steep. And then the weather is not nice.
Yeah. Well, yesterday we had like basically all the weather. So we had hailstones, it was really windy, then it would be sunny, then it would rain. Like it was a complete mixture. And then today it's rained most of the day. And very foggy. We could barely see where we were going up on the moors. So luckily we had a OS map on our phone to be able to direct ourselves with. So yeah. But it was more, the focus wasn't really on the amount of miles. It was more on, like we say, emulating what the ERA team had done and the kind of the hours, if you like. So yeah, we've done two days so far, and then we've got another day tomorrow.
And what type of response have you got from the community over there?
It's been great, isn't it? Yeah, we've almost
than
hit our
expected.
target of raising money. And yeah, everyone's just been really supportive,
Very generous.
really generous. And yeah, I think everyone's sort of thinking we're a bit crazy, really, being out on
Yes.
Dartmoor in the middle of winter. It's fine. It's definitely fine for a few hours, but we've been doing sort of 7 hours, which is, you know, when it's constant. I mean, we got back today and we're just wet through, absolutely wet, like, you know, to your waterproof didn't work.
Well, we wish you could be sending us some of that rain over here. You work
Yeah.
with ERA and with elephants. Tell us a little bit more about that.
I'm an ex-Rhodesian. Anyway, I knew wildlife quite a lot, and so I came to retire because I'm an old toppy, and I was looking for some volunteer work to do. And I looked at all the things that are available, but most of them were in reserves or camps or orphaned animals and things like that. And I wanted to work with wildlife. And ERA is wildlife. There's no cages. They roam free. And so I thought I'll give that a try. And I went out there and I loved it. And I've been back every year until COVID came.
Yes, of course. Why the elephant in particular?
Well, as I said, I grew up and my grandparents had a farm way back in the days. And then I went into the army like we all had to do. And I spent 4 years in the Zambezi Valley. And so I saw hundreds of elephants. And I just like them. I think that they're probably the more intelligent of all the animals out there. They're the most calm. You know, they don't mean you any harm, whereas lions do, and rhinos will give you a hard time. And elephants, unless you bother them, they don't do that. And I think that they're extremely intelligent animals. When I was in the army, we used to follow them because we knew that they would dig for water holes.
Yes.
And when we were thirsty, we knew where the elephants had been, and we would go and have a drink.
And what do you think about this one, babe?
You go now.
You're the best.
Can I go now?
Sweetie, you're just getting started.
1 second, babe. I'm on the phone.
Yeah.
What do you think about this one, babe? Babe? What do you say? Welcome back to Africa. Good morning. Foil queues resurface ahead of a festive season, and this is in Zimbabwe. Talent Gore has this story and more. Good morning, Talent. Please take this story. Talent, can you hear us? Unfortunately, I think we've lost Talent and we are going to... Talent, are you back? All right, we are going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
She was there the whole time. Just before we go to bed to let's go to the other video first.
Who's your future employer? Go, your boss has all the time in the world now.
Former Windhoek mayor and activist of affirmative repositioning movement Job Amopanda recently made known the intentions of the AR to go after assets gained through looting of resources through a Namibian fishing scandal which surfaced last year, implicating the country's Ministers of Justice and Fisheries respectively, amongst others. Esther Kamati sheds more light on this topic.
Good morning to you in studio and to Africa, good morning. I'm reporting live from the central of Namibia, that is the capital city, Windhoek. My name is Esther Kamati and today we'll be discussing a mix of politics as well as crime as the former mayor of the city of Windhoek, Dr. Job Amopanda, has waged a war on the assets of individuals and companies implicated in what has come to be Namibia's biggest corruption scandal. Now, the fish rod scandal, which saw millions of Namibian dollars leave Namibia through illicit fishing deals, has implicated former fisheries minister Bernard Esau as well as the former justice minister Saki Shangala. Now, Amupanda has mentioned that since the surfacing of this corruption scandal in 2019, the Namibian government has only paid mind to the criminal element of the case, where he said that he is willing to take up a civil suit against the likes of the Icelandic fishing company Submergy in an attempt to regain some of the money to make up for the damage caused to Namibians, who he says are the rightful beneficiaries of the country's resources. Amupanda says he aims to do justice rather to Namibians, as it may take years for the criminal element of the case to be completed if it ever comes to finalization, and upon completion, accused may be issued funds which will go straight to the government's coffers and will not directly benefit the Namibian people. Awopanda states that he is waging this war on behalf of Namibian people in order for them to gain from the country's resources. As he said, individuals also need to be taken to book to repay what they owe to Namibia. Now, at a press briefing last week, Amupanda shared statistics from the Africa High-Level Panel on Illicit Financial Flows, which state that at least $50 billion is lost on the continent due to illicit financial flows. And he also stated that he will be the applicant in the acquisition of resources which may be scattered across the globe. And he said that this might be a lengthy and potentially expensive exercise, but him and his team are definitely ready to take it up. Now, the affirmative repositioning movement has partnered with an international company known as Restitution, which would aid them in accessing lawyers, investigators, economists, and other professional services which they would need in their investigation. Now, Mupanda also stated that he has plans to approach the Namibian government to join him in filing for these civil suits. This through the Office of the Prosecutor General as well as the Ministry of Justice. Now, in addition, Amupanda raised concerns regarding his safety, as he said he'll be going up against large companies with massive financial resources, but he also added that he would remain unwavering in this pursuit as he aims to deliver to the Namibian people. With the notorious fish rod case being their first case that they plan to tackle head on, Amupanda and his crew also aim to further investigate the cases of suspected corruption, including that which involves missing millions in relation to the Cora Awards, which were slated to take place in Namibia but never actually happened, as well as that of the SME Bank. Amupanda at the same press briefing said that he would not wait to occupy public office before solving the problems of the masses, which include getting back what is allegedly owed to them through the assistance of the UK-based Restitution Litigation Fund, with whom the Affirmative Repositioning have signed a memorandum of understanding. So far in the so-called fish rod scandal, at least 10 Namibian nationals are being held in custody. Take a look at the following video.
Illicit funds and prosecute perpetrators. Thus, even these financial outflows present themselves to us, even if they present to us as our problems as African, united global action is necessary to end them. Such a united global action requires that agreement reached on the steps to be taken to expedite the repatriation of illicit exported capital. So the decision between restitution and the AR movement to engage into impactful litigation in European jurisdictions where these assets are hidden and stored is in tandem with the advice that is found from the high-level panel on illicit financial flows. Because the illicit financial flows, what it does, it creates a social loss. In other words, what is it that is due to Namibians that's supposed to have happened? We are not going to be litigating in the High Court, because our initial assessment is that we have seen now that the assets of these big companies are the benefit, because you accept, somebody says I have paid bribe when I was working for Summary. Yeah? Somebody says that there is evidence that another person has accepted the bribe. But all you are concerned about is this criminal prosecution. So we are basically now saying, no, we need to go after. If the assets are in London, we are now going to file and litigate in London. The assets that are in Iceland, we are now going to file and litigate in Iceland. So wherever it is where we find this thing, that's a strategy that we are also going to be using.
Wait, please, wait. Let me
No space for you, madam. The bus is full. I think I'll be a bit late.
Hey man, you finally made it.
Hey, yo, bro. Hey, listen. I'm sorry, man. Wait, that's a lady.
I would like to dedicate this award to my mother, who's here today to support me. Thank you so much, and I love you.
You know what? This deserves a calling.
Welcome back to Africa Good Morning. It's time for us to cross over to Zimbabwe and get the news on the ground by Talent Gore. Talent, are you there? We are doing fantastic now. Fuel queues resurface ahead of the festive season in Zimbabwe. Please tell us about this.
Good morning, Aina. Good morning. Queues have resurfaced.
Talent, can you hear us? We seem to be having issues hearing you.
Was the panic buy. So we then went over and across most of the fuel stations at petrol was the major problem. Most fuel stations they did not have
Oh, unfortunately, we're not getting as strong a connection as we would like to get from Talent Gore. But let's just give you a highlight of what she was going to talk to us about. So we spoke about fuel queues resurfacing ahead of the festive season. We've seen this trend around Southern Africa. And also the next story was going to be 2 Zimbabweans nabbed with 35 kilograms of heroin drugs worth 31.7 million US dollars in India. Ugh. Yikes. Another story she was going to talk about was government orders setting up vaccination centers at all bus termini across the country to encourage people to get vaccinated, and threatened those who are not jabbed will not be allowed to travel on public transport. It seems like Zimbabwe is determined to be pragmatic with regards to COVID-19, as we all should be. But those are the stories we've gotten from Talent. Hopefully next time we'll be able to talk to her. Maybe it was just the connectivity, or maybe it was the weather. If it was the weather, we'll find out now, because the forecast is up next.
Choose your flex package with Paratus today. Sign up for ultra-fast fiber with the convenience of mobile LTE. That's 2 products in 1 bundle. It's new, it's 1 bill, and you can stay connected in more than 1 location.
For more information, visit paratus.africa/NA.
Strike it gold and win 5,000 Namibian dollars in cash with Neo Paints. Simply buy Neo Paints products from the selected range and stand a chance to get 1 of 12 mystery buckets filled with gold paint. All 12 winners will each get 3 extra paint buckets equal to their purchase. 1 to replace the gold paint, the 2nd to use on your project, and the 3rd to give to a charity of their choice. 1 winner can score another 10,000 Namibian dollars by showing us your creative use of the golden paint. The best project wins the cash. Offer is valid from 27 September to 18 December at your favorite hardware store nationwide. Visit us at neopaints.com for more competition details and follow us on Facebook for weekly competition updates. Neopaints, a coat of excellence.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to dive straight into your economic news stories. And we start off in Angola. Cabinda prepares the country's most significant gold export. A mine located in the municipality of Buko Zao in the province of Cabinda is getting ready to, in the coming weeks, carry out one of the most significant gold exports in the country in nearly half a century. It is the sale of 15 kilograms of gold from a secondary deposit, an important occasion which marks a new chapter for the country, according to the magazine African Business. According to the publication, this fact does not only signal the rebirth of a once essential part of the country's economy, but also is a sign of the success of the recent push towards economic diversification. Angola has licensed 28 gold mining projects, 20 of which are already in the prospecting phase. Regarding the exploration of gold in Cabinda, recently 4 national companies companies received contracts to carry out the activity of prospecting and exploration of gold mines in the north of the province, namely Mineracao Lufu, Sociedade Mineira Bukozao, Mongo and Lombe Mining. With the exception of Bukozao, which is going through the 2 phases, the other concessions are in the prospecting phase for further exploration of gold. The exploration of gold is one of the mechanisms that drives the process of diversification of mining activity in Angola. These are priority projects in the executive strategy for exiting the economic crisis, diversifying tax revenues, and increasing foreign exchange resources.
BOB wary as Omicron shakes global economies. The Bank of Botswana is cautioning that the economic threat posed by the new Omicron variant is eating into the room available to respond through fiscal and monetary policies. The United States, the United Kingdom, and the European Union are among numerous countries to have imposed travel bans on Botswana in the wake of the Omicron variant discovery, posing a threat to the key sector of mining and tourism. Last Thursday, BOB Governor Moses Paelealo told Business Week that unlike in March when COVID-19 first broke out, the room for policy response to a new economic threat was significantly reduced. When COVID-19 first indicated a contraction of economic activity, there was a need to respond, and when you look at the fiscal position like debt levels and monetary policy, there was a leg room for policy action, and you saw those actions, he said, responding to question in a briefing. What happened in the 19 months since then has reduced that policy space significantly, both in terms of public finance position, given where the deficits are today, and also in terms of monetary policy. One complicating story is the short-term development in inflation, even though they are supply-side driven, but they are complications in where the things are today. On Tuesday, President Mokgweetsi Masisi told the BBC that the travel bans would hit sectors such as mining and tourism, which the economy depends on.
Tanzania government eyes 3 trillion shilling income from cashews. The government of the United Republic of Tanzania has projected to inject 3 trillion shillings into the country's economy from 700,000 tons of cashew nuts that would be harvested annually beginning 2025-2026. The 700,000 tons projection was made after reviewing the previous plan to increase annual cashew nuts production. Made by the Cashew Nut Board of Tanzania in 2019, the projections show that Tanzania would produce 1 million tons of the nuts in the 2023-2024 harvest season. The Tanzania Agriculture Research Institute Director General Dr. Geoffrey Mkamilo said they were collaborating with CBT to ensure that the set targets are realized on the ground. He said once the 700,000 tons target is reached, and if the market prices reach an average of 2,000 shilling per kilo, then the crop would contribute 1.4 trillion shilling to the economy. The CBT Director General, Mr. Francis Alfred, said the board has put strategies in place so as to increase cashew nuts production from 300,000 to 700,000 tons by 2025-2026 and increase domestic cashews processing capacity to 60%.
Those have been our economic stories. Coming up next, economic indicators.
Thank you for staying with Africa. Good morning. It's time for us to dive straight into your sports news stories. In our first story, Formula One. Verstappen fulfills his destiny with Formula One title. Max Verstappen was hailed as a future Formula One world champion even before he entered the sport as a 17-year-old rookie in 2015. And on Sunday, whooping in delight, he fulfilled his destiny in dramatic style. It looked like the ending of an era, the passing of a baton, even if 36-year-old Hamilton no doubt intends to take it back next year as the rivals sportingly embrace before taking the podium. Verstappen has motor racing in his blood, a born racer who has been around the sport since he was a baby and was on wheels almost as soon as he could walk. Hamilton saw the threat coming years ago. There's always someone waiting to take my position. I've got that Max just sitting there waiting to take it, he said in 2017 after securing his fourth title. Verstappen is also a racer who sometimes crosses a line, literally and figuratively. Hamilton said in Jeddah he felt Verstappen raced as if the rules did not apply to him, but Horner said that was not the case. Max drives like Tyson Fury fights. He's got that same heart, he said recently. You just know he's going to give it everything, and if you knock him down, he's going to get back up. He's got that burning desire, and that's all-out commitment.
In our next story, Nigeria sacks Rowe as national coach after poor results. The Nigerian Football Federation on Sunday sacked Gernot Rowe as coach of the national team after several weeks of speculations concerning his future due to poor performance. The 68-year-old German national Rowe, who had been a Super Eagles coach since August 2016, had a contract with Nigeria until December 2022. The relationship between the Nigerian Football Federation and Master Rowe had come to an end, said NFF General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi in a statement. We thank him for his service at Super Eagles and Nigeria, he said. Rowe led Nigeria to the 2018 World Cup and guided the team to the third at the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations in Egypt. Rowe has also qualified the Eagles for the next Africa Cup in Cameroon, but has recently came under fire for poor display against lowly rated opponents. The NFF said the former coach Agostino Evaguven would have taken charge of the Super Eagles.
All right, rugby. Barrett keen on short-term league switch. All Blacks fullback Jordie Barrett said he would be interested in making a short-term coach switch to play in Australia's National Rugby League. To be honest, every off-season or every time I'm sitting there watching a rugby league game, I think I'd love to go over there and play some league just for a season. The 24-year-old, who has 36 caps for New Zealand, told the What a Lad podcast, I'm not sure what position I'd play, but I'd love to go over there and give it a crack. Who knows? Several current All Blacks have previously expressed an interest in playing in the competition. Ardie Savea previously said he was keen to test himself in the 13-man form of the sport, but then signed a new 4-year contract with New Zealand Rugby last month. TJ Perenara, who was also linked with the move to Sydney Roosters before he signed a new contract with NZR. All right, that brings us to the end of our sports news update. We'll be back with your headlines after this break. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. We've been streaming live from 7 a.m., bringing you news and current affairs from the SADC region and beyond. Now, if you perhaps missed our top stories at the top of the hour, or if you need a recap, worry not, here are some of the headlines. Ethiopia, Tigrayan forces recapture Lalibela. Kenya, Raila campaign officially kicks off with Azimio. SACO ministers petition World Trade Organization. South African Deputy President warns on Mozambique insurgency spilling over. Cabinda prepares the country's most significant gold export. Verstappen fulfills his destiny with Dream Formula One title. Those have been our stories.
We thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Africa Good Morning. We do welcome your remarks regarding our show. You can email them to us. Our email is agm_2centsworth@nmh.com.na. Alternatively, we are on Facebook and Twitter. Kindly leave your comments on those pages. The page is called Africa Good Morning. We also have a website that's called One Up To. You can visit us for more content that you love to see. And on that note, is all our light. Please get vaccinated, wear your mask, and do not forget to play your part against the fight of COVID-19.
Indeed, Swera Zwakanaka.